Welcome to the Barker Podcast Collection.
Welcome to the Not Watching Podcast. My name's Rob Howard, and today I'm joined by
Marcus Hurley.
So, gonna touch on a few bits of news. It's been a while. We're not recording quite as often as we used to, so there's been quite a lot going on, but it's kind of good in a way because a lot of things have happened and since been resolved. But anyway, first of all, we'll get to that very shortly. But the first thing I just wanted to get out of the way is the fact that they're making a new Matrix film. Looks like the Wachowskis are coming back to do a fourth Matrix movie because money, I'm sure.
Actually, I think...
You got any thoughts on that?
I think it might be them. I was surprised because we all heard a while back that Warner Brothers wanted to do more Matrix films. I don't know whether it's possibly off the back of the way that John Wick was, the action from that. Because I noticed, because that first film came out a while ago, didn't it, sort of? And then they started talking about a reboot in the Matrix world without Neo, and then they started trying to wrestle control from the Wachowskis, and now the Wachowskis are at the helm.
Yeah, I think Zach Penn was going to be writing it originally, but now it looks like they've got it's the Wachowskis, and they're also working with Alexander Hammond. I'm not sure who he is, but also David Mitchell, who wrote the book Cloud Atlas.
Oh, wow, okay.
That the Wachowskis actually adapted a few years back.
Yeah.
So that's quite interesting because that's a very cool book, which I sort of attempted to read, but I hear it on good authority that it's a good book, and I really enjoyed the film. So, quite interested to see what they do.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, to be honest. If it's like expanding on the world a bit more. Maybe it's like, who knows? I mean, who knows where it's going to go?
Yeah, I think they've got the conceptual designers back on board. Nice. And obviously we've got Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss have confirmed their returns. No word about Lawrence Fishburne, but I can't remember, but I don't know if Morpheus actually made it.
I think they were thinking of recasting him. I think he was uneasy about going back into the franchise or something, I don't know, but that's the thing, right. There's a lot of hearsay. I think after the last two films where he said he signed up and didn't read the script, didn't even bother reading the script, he just signed straight up, I think he might be erring on the side of caution, whereas Keanu and Carrie-Anne are pretty much just, hell yeah.
Just well up for it.
Maybe it's because he's done less, I don't know. He's
getting on a bit as well, maybe he doesn't want to do any more kung fu.
Yeah.
Anyway, the only other major news I wanted to touch on was just the state of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We had a big announcement at their Disney's D20 event with all the information. Oh no, it was actually at Comic-Con, wasn't it?
Yeah, San Diego Comic-Con. Yeah.
Yeah, Comic-Con. They announced Phase 4, which now consists of quite a few movies.
Yep, a couple of TV shows. Really should have prepped this beforehand.
It's all right. I'm just scurrying to find all the links.
Well, for me,
the notes
I'm
I made.
just quite happy because I'm typing something and my keyboard's telling me Airbnb, and that's exactly not what I'm typing. But anyway, I remember. I don't remember which podcast it was. I was trying to find it, but I remember a long time ago I was jokingly saying about how I think Doctor Strange was going to open the door for a Blade reboot. And at the time, it was like, you're talking crazy, fool. No, not really, because you had 4, the series of films, which basically had magic, but then they explained it as science that people don't understand yet. So it was like techno magic in a way. Although it doesn't explain the Bifrost.
No.
Without the machine as well. But anyway, and then you've got Doctor Strange, which basically is just interdimensional travel, magic, and mysticism without any apologies or anything. It's just straight up magic. And the moment you start to bring magic into existence, you basically enable the supernatural, which I think I tenuously said, well, couldn't make vampires exist, especially since Spider-Man kind of fed into the whole vampire mythos by having a character called Michael Morbius, I think, who essentially was a mutated bat spliced with a human and had to feed on the plasma of people, essentially a vampire. And Blade comes after him. So I just thought, I didn't know how they were going to do it, but I just thought they're kind of circling round. And lo and behold, that was one of the announcements, a Blade remake. Well,
yeah,
a reboot.
With matey from Moonlight.
Yes.
Playing him. What's his name?
This is the most gripping podcast ever.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Yeah.
Give me a sec.
Mahershala Ali is announced. Well, they announced that Mahershala Ali is going to play Blade, but I mean, that is probably the most vague announcement of the lot. Before that, they announced quite a few things that are going on.
Yes.
With actual release dates. Yep. So, our next MCU outing will be Black Widow, which is coming out in April. It's either April or beginning of May. And then, and that's supposed to be set, I don't know, a lot of people saying it's going to be a prequel, but it's supposed to be set sort of like in the middle of the MCU current timeline. So I'm not really sure. And also there's a younger actress as well.
Okay.
That's going to be in it. Florence Pugh. Although apparently they're saying now that that's going to be like a sister figure to Natasha. But she may, apparently, she takes up the Black Widow mantle in the comics. So she could be like the new Black Widow, effectively going forward.
Cool. That'll be interesting, because obviously we know the fate of Natasha Romanoff in Endgame.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Well, yes, we do. Following that, we've got a Falcon Winter Soldier show coming out. This isn't until October 2020. And then we've got The Eternals. That show, is on Disney Plus exclusively. We still don't know when we're getting Disney Plus. It's supposed to be early next year, spring, they reckon. And then we get The Eternals in November. I think they were hoping to have something else in there by then, but things haven't worked out. I reckon Guardians would have gone in there. But yeah, I think that was delayed quite a bit. Then in 2021, we've got Shang-Chi, which I think is going to go into like the Legend of the Ten Rings.
The Ten Rings, the Mandarin. Yes, that's the series I'm quite intrigued in. I know absolutely nothing about it, but it's linked directly to a short that was on the Iron Man 3 DVD, apparently. I don't own the film, but I heard about this and I realised it's something Marvel I haven't seen. So I was straight on YouTube, and it stars the guy who played Justin Hammer from Iron Man 2. As well as what's his name?
Ben Kingsley.
Reprising his role as Terrence. I think it's Terrence.
Trevor Slattery.
Yeah, or something like that. And just sort of what happened after that film where he's in prison. And it also reveals that the Ten Rings links back to the first film as well. So that character that you saw was involved, the first bad guy in the cave. That was all linked, and you realise the video of Tony Stark where he's been that whole sort of Iraqi jihadi sort of style video, and you realise the Ten Rings logo and stuff like that. So that's all coming back, even though it was kind of swept under the carpet. So I'm intrigued. It almost feels like they're kind of playing the long game and going, remember that time where we said we're going to do this bad guy, and then we throw a curveball. Oh, the ball's still curving. It's just more like a boomerang. It's coming back round.
That's right, yeah. So it's definitely happening. It's going to be a movie, and it's first Asian-led superhero movie. Yep. They could have done with getting to this a bit sooner, I think, definitely after a lot of criticism they've had.
Yeah, but it's comic books, though, you know. I don't remember seeing black characters when I grew up, and it didn't bother me.
Yeah, that's true. Well, yeah, okay. Fair enough. Yeah, so after that, in April 2021, we're getting WandaVision, which is another Disney Plus show, and that's going to be all about Vision and Scarlet Witch.
Yes.
And based on the poster that came out the other day, looks completely mad. I think it's going to give them an opportunity to sort of just do some really fun stuff with those two characters, which is good since one of them isn't really around anymore for obvious reasons. And then we get to Doctor Strange in May of 2021. Doctor Strange and the something multiverse, I believe.
Ooh, the multiverse of madness. Yep.
Yeah. Which I wouldn't be at all surprised if that is the Marvel film that they are saying that Spider-Man is going to be a part of.
Well, they do cross over in the comic. That's the thing. Which is where me and my brother, we used to greet each other with a line from the old 90s cartoons where Doctor Strange says to Spider-Man, "May the amulet of Ashanti guide you," and Spider-Man replies with, "Well, may your amulets never tickle," and then swings off. Which sounds like a typical exchange between the two, especially when you get the whole, we're using our made-up names kind of thing. I think that they played off really well in Infinity War. So I would expect them to kind of team up or have some sort of interaction again. Who knows?
I mean, they could. I mean, yeah. I suppose we have to mention really before, because the film after that is going to be the next Tom Holland Spider-Man movie. Obviously, we had all this drama over the past few weeks where it appeared that he would be not in the MCU anymore. And now, apparently, after crying to the bosses of Disney, Bob Iger, and the Sony boss, he apparently made them go back into the room and flesh something out. So.
Really? Apparently. Was it he saved the day?
Apparently so.
Well,
yeah.
If it wasn't a big marketing stunt anyway, putting my cynical hat on. But, because we've had...
Well, yeah, I mean,
a friend of mine did actually say that we've had pretty much every month some kind of Marvel news, and that was the one month where there wasn't. So it was kind of like, timing.
Yeah, I mean, I think if they'd have been able to, they would have announced it by now. I think there's a Black Panther film in amongst that, isn't there? No, it's after.
Yeah,
it's 2022. The Black Panther one, and then we've got Thor: Love and Thunder in October 21.
Yep.
So it looks like we're going to be getting quite a few movies.
As well as a couple more TV shows as well. Like you've got the Loki show as well.
Yeah, that's in May or June 2021, and What If, which is an animated thing, which they've already said is going to include Agent Carter.
Yep.
And a few other people, and there's a Hawkeye show as well.
Yes, of course.
Also in 2021.
Yeah.
So
with what's his name? Jeremy Renner reprising his role as well. So he's going to be the main guy.
Yeah, and all these shows apparently are going to have the same sort of budgets as the movies, which is cool. And so they won't look out of place. But yeah, no, it's really cool. There's a lot coming. I mean, I'm still in mourning at the end of Endgame, and I'm currently towards the end of my giant Blu-ray rewatch of the whole thing. I pre-ordered Phase 3 Part 2 today on Blu-ray, so I can have that day one.
That's amazing.
Yeah, because I want to finish my MCU watch through before I have to start my Star Wars one in preparation for the final Skywalker movie. So, yeah, busy times. So, yeah, I think there's quite a lot to look forward to there. I think we got a few sort of diversions, really, with the Eternals, which I know very little about, and Shang-Chi.
That's who the guy who's cast as Blade was. He was Cottonmouth in the Series 1 of Luke Cage as well.
Yeah, that's one of their... Well, they're running out of actors now, and they keep making films, so it's starting to happen more and more.
To be honest, though, it was a good role. He he cut his acting chops. He's definitely one of the more interesting characters in that season.
Oh yeah, he definitely paid his dues, doing lots of sort of supporting work on various TV shows. He was on House of Cards.
Yeah, God, yeah.
He's popped up in a few other things, but yeah, no, he's got chops. Won an Oscar or two now, I think, hasn't he? So,
he was also the voice of the Prowler in Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Good Lord.
Yeah,
Anyway,
his uncle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Let's.
But yeah, I'm really pleased. Spider-Man's going to continue to be in the MCU, especially after the way the last film ended.
Good Lord,
the stinger at the end. So, be interested to see how they get out of that. Interestingly, as well, they've also said part of the deal is that he will appear in Sony stuff. So I'm thinking that Tom Holland may well end up in the Spider-Verse somehow, and that could link into the multiverse with Doctor Strange, maybe.
I'm also thinking possibly even a cameo in the next Venom film, which was almost a given. But
yeah, that's very true. Okie doke. So yeah, that's that. And yeah, I just wanted to quickly have a look at our summer movie wager that we had a few months back. And maybe just sort of cast our eye back to the summer and just maybe share our thoughts on how all that went.
I haven't looked at this since I knew I was going out the toilet. Okay.
Well, there was a point very close to the end of it where I think you were only 2 points behind me.
Yeah,
but
that changed.
Luckily, Hobbs and Shaw did the business for me, and Aladdin dropped down to 5th. So I got 10 points for each of those. You got 10 points for Detective Pikachu, though.
I am joint last.
Toy Story 4.
I'm joint last. And 1 point behind Mr. Jeff Canada himself.
Yeah. Yeah, I tied with David Chen, which was pretty cool. I was just listening to them lot talk about Joker, actually. I won't let that influence any of my thoughts. Yeah. No. Yep. So, but yeah, as just sort of catching up, because I hadn't really mentioned it on here before, I saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and I really enjoyed it. One of Tarantino's best, I thought. It's not a film that really... It's not got like the most intricate plot or anything, but it really builds on like that sort of sense of dread you get from like, because it's very much about Sharon Tate and is set around the days of her murder. And so it kind of, you sort of just have this constant sort of anxiety that, you know, you're about to see something really grim happen. And it really plays with that in a cool Tarantino way. Without spoiling it, I won't say exactly how he does that, but you know, it's a film about mood, a time and a place, and yeah, it's just really cool. It's got a bit of controversy for the whole Bruce Lee thing, but that didn't really bother me too much. I really enjoyed it, and I'm glad it made the top 10 there, which was otherwise pretty much dominated by Disney. Taking the top 5 spots by quite a distance.
It's because they just spammed the cinema with Disney films because they had to use, rumoured to have to use the license or lose it.
Well, there's that, and also, I mean, these live-action remakes, I don't know if they'll actually achieve the same thing again next year, because they won't have a big Avengers film. And I don't think any of their live-action remakes are on the same level of sort of cultural zeitgeist as stuff like The Lion King or Aladdin.
That's why they're shifting their focus, and that's why Disney Plus will exist. They'll get Disney Plus in, and that will be probably the main focus, I reckon, for next year.
Oh yeah,
they'll concentrate on the shows on that, and then
they know where their audience is heading. And maybe it'll just be interesting because it will just be interesting to see how the other studios sort of like cover that gap. Yeah, because looking forward, I've got a few noted down for next year. We've got another Fast and the Furious. We've got a Wonder Woman. We've got a Ghostbusters. We've got Top Gun. And The Conjuring 3, those are the ones that I know about that I'm interested in seeing. I'm sure there are like a load of Disney sort of animated things, but they're not covering any of the films that I'm that interested in. I don't think Black Widow counts because that's out right at the beginning of May. Although it might, I don't know, it might kind of. I don't think it will count for the purposes of this wager anyway.
No.
So no, it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes down. You got any other thoughts on the summer or the movie wager? You up for doing it again next year?
I definitely am. It's quite interesting. I know I messed up, but I just thought I'd run with it and see what happens. Just as purely an agent of chaos and just to see what happens. And now that I actually understand the thinking behind it and how badly I went wrong in some cases, I'm interested in doing it again. It's quite fun. It's quite fun checking it out and then updating each sort of every couple of podcasts and stuff. Yeah, no.
I think when you've done it once, you kind of get your instincts are a bit better.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's still surprising though how well John Wick did. Many of the people in this competition didn't even put it anywhere.
Yeah.
Just did it as a dark horse outlier. Hobbs and Shaw did fantastically well. And yeah, just that
Crazy,
that kind of massive gulf above that all the other top 5 Disney films got to is just unbelievable. I think they're responsible for like about 75% of the total money in this table. Fucking unbelievable.
Well, at least we all got Endgame right.
Yeah. Yeah, there is that. All right, then. Time to talk about some movies themselves. And I'm going to kick off because I saw Joker last night. Mm-hmm. So I just want to share these thoughts while they're fresh in my mind. I have to say, overall, I didn't really like it. I say as a disclaimer, I'm going through some pretty grim stuff with my family at the moment. So this is probably not the kind of film I needed to see. But even so, it is unbelievably bleak. At its best, it's kind of a serviceable tribute to like some Scorsese films from the 70s and 80s, most notably Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy. It even features Robert De Niro in a supporting role. In fact, the supporting cast are exceptional, but they have absolutely nothing to do because Joaquin Phoenix absolutely steals the show. He's very good in this. He lost 3.5 stone, I believe, to look as twisted and bendy and fucked up as he does. He has a very good laugh, which he employs to great degree. And but otherwise it's really not a superhero movie. I mean, it's not even a supervillain movie. It's almost like they wanted to make a certain movie, and to get it made, they've got a super like a DC license for it.
See, I when I went to watch the film, I wasn't thinking of it as it related to a superhero or supervillain way. I kind of thought it was because, for starters, it's Joaquin Phoenix in there, and he doesn't take roles unless they're strange nowadays. So he said it was like a character study on the actual character, but I took that as not particularly Joker. I kind of thought of the film as what it would take for someone to become like that. Someone a bit like the Joker, in a way. Not necessarily in the Batman world, but just what it would take for everything, whatever circumstances happen, the way they are. Almost like Push, like the whole one bad day. All it takes is one really bad day on top of everything else. I haven't seen the film, so this is purely far, far outside speculation. But I just thought
it's not like that.
I thought it was just a guy, and all this shit happens, and he just loses his shit, and whatever it leads to, that's the start of it. That's what I thought.
Yeah, well, it's not. It's not at all. It's really quite tedious. It's got no ideas of its own. I think they're trying to reference modern day hard times, but it seems to be set in like the 70s or 80s New York as Gotham, and yeah, I just really didn't like it. I was checking my watch halfway through. I just found it boring.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah.
I cannot deny Joaquin Phoenix is excellent in that role, and I have no doubt he'll get all the Oscar nominations there are. But I just think it's not a good film.
Just found it grim.
Yeah, I just found it grim, and I just found it a chore, man.
Okay.
It was just really unentertaining.
See, that
to me.
would explain why everything seems to be going weird, because I mean, you and I both remember it was getting really good write-ups prior to its release. Like, people were saying it seemed really good, and it's rumoured to be really
it's still
good.
getting good reviews,
but,
and lots of people on Facebook are loving it. Like,
yeah,
I don't get it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's well shot, it's well acted.
Maybe
maybe
it's the same sort of feel as people that enjoy really dark, proper grungy, nihilistic humour or whatever, or stories, and you kind of go, I'm not that interested. I don't mind a bit of grit, but the whole everything is woeful.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, yeah, I might check it out, but I guess I won't catch it on the screen. I'll wait, and if I've got some time, I'll catch it out at some point.
I think it's just personal preference, and like I said, I'm not really in the best place for something like this right now. But I can watch, things with people getting murdered and stuff. I mean, there is some pretty horrific violence in it, to be fair. It's pretty, and it comes out of nowhere. Yeah. It's quite shocking. They've done a good job there, I suppose. But yeah, so many people are like coming out saying it's amazing. I'm just
not feeling it.
I think it's what you bring to it, perhaps.
Okay.
But I thought the whole idea of it was dumb anyway, and I'm so out. Like I have got such apathy for anything done in the DC universe at the moment that there's also that going on as well in my head. So
maybe,
but it didn't do anything. I didn't like. I mean, I was thinking if this is like to be the foundation of a new Batman saga, then that could be interesting if he comes back and actually is with Batman. But I think the references to Batman in this are so on the nose. They could have cut some lines of dialogue easily, because it was so telegraphed.
Okay.
Like, so blatantly telegraphed. And in some ways, very well done.
Yeah.
But they ruin it by, like, oh, what's your name? Bruce. It's like, oh, come on, really?
Okay.
So, like, yeah, oh, God, yeah. I won't say any more because I don't want to spoil it. But, they do feel the need to put signs up going, it's a Batman film! But it's not a Batman film. No. It's not a Batman film, and it's barely a Joker film.
See, I wonder whether that's like a post first cut screening, and then they shoehorn extra bits in or something, because stuff like that usually feels dumb and added into an otherwise intelligent film often is the fault of the first audiences that see it, and then they kind of create extra crappy bits which don't flesh out with the rest of it.
Or the studio.
Yeah. Studio come on and go, needs more Batman. Oh, God. Fine. You want more Batman? We'll put this stupid dialogue in. There you go. Shut up. Anyway, yeah. I understand what you mean about it. Some films I get that kind of vibe as well. Everyone loves it, and I'm a bit like, I don't see how, but
yeah, and there's nothing in here that would suggest to me that it needs to be seen on the big screen. I mean, it's got a great score, and it's really moody looking, but
darkened room, big screen at home, just as well. Yeah,
I mean, it'll be fine. Yeah. Watch it wherever you like. Cool. Watch it on your phone.
Cool.
That's all it deserves, in my opinion. But anyway, yeah. Anyway, speaking of
clowns,
it's been a bit clown heavy at the cinema lately, because the last film I saw before that, and the last film I think you went to see,
possibly,
was It Chapter 2.
Yes.
What did you think of this?
I think it's another film that seems to be a bit Marmite. There are some people that absolutely rubbished it. Some people that absolutely love it. I think I might have benefited from watching the first film again because I went to a double bill screening. And I think that really did improve it because the story just carried on. For me, I think both films sit extremely well back to back. I've not had a pairing like this in terms of films since watching Blade Runner, The Final Cut, and then going out and seeing 2049. I know those two films differ, but in terms of the feeling and the way that the story seemed to continue, I had the same feeling kind of from this. It felt like, okay, there are some bits and pieces that kind of, probably were overused, and we'll get to them. But I just felt in terms of the overall arc, I really enjoyed it. And I thought it was a fitting way to end it. And it was a long film, but I feel as two films back to back as bookends, without there being a third film. Normally a film like this would be a trilogy or something.
See, I think, sorry to interrupt you, but I think that really this should be a Netflix show.
Yeah.
A limited Netflix show. 10 episodes, if you like.
Yeah.
So you can get every single fucking thing in the book in it if you have to.
Yeah.
Because that's what I think they tried to do. I didn't watch both films back to back, but I did watch them on consecutive nights.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to do it as close as together as possible. And I think it devalued it for me.
Really?
Because, because I think with the distance, I wouldn't have minded it going back to the kids as much as it did again. Now, I don't know if they had to do that again because the book does it, or whether it was because they didn't want to rock the boat in terms of like how successful the first film was with those kids as those characters.
Yeah, but I think there was a bit of a playing it safe with having them more in it than I thought, because my biggest worry going into this was if the new cast of the adults aren't likeable, that is going to ruin it for me.
But that wasn't the case. I thought the casting of the older guys was impeccable.
Yeah, no,
they didn't even
great.
need to spell it out, and I'm glad they didn't too much. You know, it was pretty. I think they were really well cast, all of them.
I liked the way they introduced them, to be honest, because you didn't know who they were, because you had this, you had like the whole fairground thing, you had the gay couple, and you weren't sure, and you're thinking, are they changing things up? Is that one of the kids as an adult? And it turns out they were just an introduction to the return of the horror, where one of them gets attacked. Sorry, not really spoilers, this is right at the start of the film, where one of them gets attacked by the group. And you're not sure, because the way that the camera leads you, the way that the characters act, you're not sure if one or the other is meant to be one of them growing up and who they're meant to be. Because, this is it could be a slightly different take on the whole thing. But, I enjoyed it. I mean, it was long, really long. There are some bits in there. I mean, it wasn't, for me, as scary as the first film. Having seen them back to back, the first one still massively outshines it. I would say I had a much better experience watching the first film again on the big screen. I couldn't believe how... I think it was like the fourth time I'd seen it, and I still couldn't believe how well it held up. It felt like a second viewing. But
So you found watching the first one again more fun than watching the new one for the first time?
I think it might just be because it's the way it's done. It's a slightly better film, because the way it's all set during the summer, and the way that it ends, and it feels like the end of a chapter. Whereas the second part of it, always with books, whatever source material, always felt a bit weird. And they kind of mention it and reference it and everything. And people have always said that for years. And I think the joke of them, even Stephen King himself saying it, the book ending sucks. I think I read it a long time ago. but I don't really remember how the book was in terms of all the little nuances and stuff like that. But
the size of the book...
Yeah, go on.
The size of the book always intimidated me, so I never bothered reading it.
But I still think the first one is a slightly better film and a better experience for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think having all the extra child bits in the sequel just slowed it right down, and it felt like it was just one scare too many.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, because of the budget this film has, I mean, they almost seem barely like horror films. Almost, they're more like sort of fantasy adventures.
Yes,
like
dark
some of the
fantasy,
big set pieces.
Yeah,
like the outside bit with the wood chopper guy and all the statue and all that coming alive.
That really freaked me out. But but the thing is, with those things, I was not expecting them, so they kind of almost felt like a different kind of jump scare. Whereas it wasn't, because it was out in the open, the wood chopper bit. We won't spoil it because it's still relatively out, isn't it? I think, but that part I was not expecting that, and that really freaked me out. Same like the part that was the follow-on from the trailer with the old woman in the house. I didn't realise we were up to that part and how that bit would be in the film or where, up until the point where we went, oh shit, it's that woman. And then it all went a bit sort of, let's say, creepy and very disturbing.
Mad. Just went bonkers
that
mad,
freaked me out. That really did freak me out. I had a bigger jump scare from that because I was not expecting it than I did from most of the ones in The Nun. Because they were more telegraphed.
I think you just heard the sound in the trailer. You didn't actually get to see it.
No.
Yeah. But, that's it for me. I just thought it was a bit too long. I was getting a really itchy bum by the end. So,
No, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good way to send it off. And it's weird. A friend of mine said that he actually felt a bit sorry for Pennywise at the end, where they're kind of, the way that I was a bit like, it's a bit weird. You kind of do a little bit for a moment, and it's a kind of weird way that they've made you do that. But then you kind of just go, okay. And I thought, it was. I enjoyed it. I think overall I enjoyed it.
I think he was a charismatic enough presence to be sort of for anyone to sort of like want like you didn't really want to see him go really, because he was very enjoyable.
He was a bit like Freddy Krueger. The villain that you
I thought he did a really good job. I think he did a really good job in that.
Oh, speaking of which, I did enjoy the one scene where you saw the flashback, and you saw him, not necessarily the flashback, but you saw him, and this is a spoiler, so you might want to jump ahead if you're listening. The bit where you see him, and he's talking, and he's insulting her, and then he starts caking on the makeup. And I was thinking, his face was really freaky without any of that.
Oh, yeah, you sort of see him
as a human, that he was, and I thought, that was pretty good. And I was like, that's what he looks like. He still looks freaky. I wouldn't want that guy offering me a balloon. Anyway, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good film. I remember you found the first one kind of okay when we did go and see it, so I wouldn't have expected you to be whooping from the ceiling about the second one. But
no, I really liked the first one.
Oh, okay.
I think I was just a bit annoyed because of all the dickheads that were watching it with us.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I really enjoyed that. That was one of the best things I've done, though. Even though we got home at like 1 a.m. or something stupid like that.
Mad marathon.
No, that was good.
I was very envious of that, but in retrospect, maybe perhaps not so much.
Okay, moving on.
Have you got any other films you want to mention?
Not off the top of my head. I'm just thinking, because I've just been doing a string of Netflix things that were forgettable and just sort of picking odd bits and pieces, but nothing stays in my head really.
Okay.
So let's carry on.
Yeah, I've only got. I just wanted to quickly mention Alita Battle Angel, which I watched a few months back, and a shame there won't be any more of them, because it was quite promising until it just abruptly ended.
It's like without a watch part 2 or anything, just a.
Yeah, it was like a real bummer. But anyway, never mind. And I don't know. This might kind of count as TV, but I watched the Between Two Ferns movie. which was okay, but I will say, like, it's the rare case of one of those movies where the outtakes at the end are probably funnier than anything in the movie itself. So,
Okay.
make of that what you will. But it is worth watching just for that, pretty much.
Nice.
But yeah, if you're not familiar with Between Two Ferns, it's Zach Galifianakis. It's a Funny or Die sketch show that was online for, I know it's been on for like the last 10 years or so. They recently put it all onto Amazon. And it's otherwise, you can just find it on YouTube. But yeah, it's just Zach Galifianakis basically ripping the hell out of very famous people, including Barack Obama, and them just kind of like just refusing to engage with him. Nice. It's very funny. It's well worth like 10 minutes of your time to just watch one random one.
Okay.
At some point.
Yeah. Oh, only thing I did see was the third How to Train Your Dragon film. Finally got around to that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did watch that as well, actually.
That was fun. I quite enjoyed it, revisiting the world. It was interesting. I found each one of them has to be slightly different. I quite like how they manage it. Like, although there are familiar things, it's another dragon poacher, stroke bad guy, stroke oddball, but yeah.
Yeah. No, it's all right. I didn't engage with it as much as the first two. I think I might have seen the second one in the cinema, maybe.
Yeah, I saw that in the
because the first one impressed the hell out of me. Because I caught that like ages after it came out.
Oh,
but yeah, they're really good. They're really good movies.
There was one other film actually. I forgot to mention it. Dumbo.
Here he comes. It's all coming back now, isn't it?
Dumbo.
Oh yeah, I heard that was pretty bad.
It's not going to be a ranty one, don't worry. There are many other ones where I've absolutely blown my stack about films. For this one, I would just say it's a shame. They made it more about random kids, and it got a bit crazy. And just, I don't know, if you've got nothing else to watch, it might be worth out of curiosity, kind of like a Ripley's Exhibit, But
I just don't want to watch that creepy-looking fucking elephant.
Oh, to be honest, the elephant is fine. The elephant isn't the problem in it at all, apart from his addiction to snuffling feathers, which must be doing something mentally, considering he sucks them up in his trunk and thinking, are they going in his brain? Is he going to just die of asphyxiation at some point? Which is quite a horrid thought. But he literally sucks up feathers and flies, whereas in the cartoon, he holds a feather and it believes it helps him fly. So it's like, rather than being an actual sort of placebo of holding it, he literally sucks up feathers, which can't be good for you. But anyway, yeah, no, it's the weirdest thing about it. There is a random Death Star cameo.
A random Death Star cameo?
They go to this theme park, and if you Google it, I'm sure it will come up. And there's a lookout tower of this guy's new theme park, because obviously it needs to have some sort of modern messaging about a big corporate empire wanting to take Dumbo for himself, rather than the twisted bleakness of the original cartoon. But yeah, there is a lookout tower which looks like the Death Star. Well, 3/4 of it. And it even has, I think even like the searchlights or something, or the power grid, has the same noise as the Death Star laser. Like the doo. And I was just like, that's really weird. And I think it's got like, a couple of spikes to try and disguise it. But yeah, it definitely looks like the Death Star. It's almost unmistakable. But yeah, that's all I've really got to say on it. It's a big disappointment. A couple of cameos. Casey Jones, the train, shows up. Danny DeVito does okay as Danny DeVito does, and it's all about the children and making one child a bit weird and emotionless and wanting to be a scientist, but yet not actually being intelligent, despite coming across as one. And then all the cliched problems and everything, and suddenly everyone forgets who they are, and it just descends into a bit of a farce. And yeah, it's a bit of a shame. Even though Eva Green was nice in it, but that's about it.
As usual,
yeah.
She's like the new
Helen Bonham Carter, isn't she?
She's like the new Tim Burton regular, kind of now.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, then. Thanks for listening to the Not Watching Podcast, part of the Not Listening Podcast Network. where you can also find the Not Playing podcast, where we talk about video games, and the Not Listening podcast, where you can hear Adam and Co talk about all kinds of nonsensical nonsense. You can email us at notwatchingpodcast@gmail.com, or you can tweet at or follow us on Twitter at notwatchingpod. You can find the show notes for all our shows at notlistening.co.uk, and if you like what you've heard here, please do leave us a review. Anyway, that's all for now. Until next time, bye!
I've just seen something.
What's that?
Do you remember me talking earlier and it may have been in the previous podcast, depending on how this goes, in the movie section, talking about a character called Morbius. Michael Morbius.
Okay, this is an edit.
There is a film, upcoming film, called Morbius. Hasn't been given a release date, but it's in the 2020 batch. It's a Sony film, starring Jared Leto.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about this.
And
it did ring a bell, actually, when you mentioned it.
It's a Spider-Man character. It is the Spider-Man character.
But it's going to be done by fucking Sony, though. So
yeah,
who cares?
I know. Yeah, but it's crazy. I didn't even know about this at all. Morbius, the living vampire.
Yeah, well...
Fucking mental. Anyway, yeah, edit that in.
Yeah. Yeah, that will have to be an edit or an outtake.
That just really freaked me out, because I thought, I'd never heard of this film. And I just saw the poster and I was like, what the fuck? Anyway, yeah, sorry, back to TV.